Welcome everybody to my YouTube channel, The Mentor I Wish I Had. We are going to be covering off a very interesting question today, which is 5 ways that you can fund your small business. But before we jump in, I would like to just give you a brief overview of who I am and why I set up this channel. So my name's Johnny Garrett, and over the last 7 years, I have built my own British independent luxury watch company into one of the top 10 independent British watchmakers in the UK. That's an industry that dates back over 400 years, and I've done all of this without any debt or any investors. It's been an incredibly rewarding but challenging journey, and now at the age of 32, I'm delighted to now share my knowledge and expertise with you guys to be the mentor that I wish I had, okay? If you haven't already, remember to subscribe, like, and comment on this video. Now let's jump in. So to begin with, we're going to talk about the 5 different ways to be able to fund your business. Point number 1 for me is something that I'm very passionate about, and you will find that as I go through the 5 different elements of ways to fund your business, I am always going to preference ways that will try to help you to avoid debt or giving away equity in your business. I'm a big fan of making sure that you retain 100% of your equity and that you try to avoid debt or any unnecessary debt where required. So point number 1 for me, okay, is probably the one that you would think of straight away. It's the simplest, it's the easiest, and the most accessible one, and that is to save or to bootstrap, whatever way or terminology you would like to use. Now, yes, it's a slower process to be able to save the amount of money that you need, but at least you know that every single month you are saving towards your entrepreneurial vision. Now, my rule of thumb is a third. So what do I mean by that? Take your paycheck and every month put a third of your paycheck into savings. A third of your paycheck should be covering your rent and bills, and the final third should go towards your discretionary spending or things that you just want to spend your money on and actually brings you happiness. If you can save a third of your paycheck every month, then you're doing better, believe me, than 99% of the nation that you live in. The pros of going down this route and saving are that you own 100% of your business, you don't have any debt, and every night when you go to bed, you can sleep easy. Now, the downside or the negatives of trying to take on point 1 and just save your way to starting your own business is that obviously it's a slow approach. You have to implement budgeting into your life, and there are probably going to be some lifestyle cuts that you'll have to take to be able to save that third of your salary every single month. However, it is my number 1, and I'm a big believer that if you want something enough, you will be able to make it happen, okay? So point number 2 of 5 is to tap into family and friends. Now, in the early stages of trying to ask family and friends for some kind of investment, big or small, what they're doing is they are really investing in you as an individual. It doesn't matter how good your product, service, offering is, really they're doing it because they love you, they're supporting you, and they're in a position where they're probably going to be a bit older than you, so they have more financial resource, and this is a lovely way for them to be able to give back and support your entrepreneurial vision. I know that it can be very difficult and daunting asking family and friends for money, but if done in the right manner, or if you have the right kind of support network around you, it may be easier than you thought. The pros of this is that it's faster than saving if they can obviously give you some kind of lump sum. There's no interest to pay, I would hope, okay? It's not like getting a bank loan. Hopefully they would just give you a lump sum and you will tell them that you will repay them on a monthly basis, or in a year to 18 months time, you'll pay the whole lump sum back. And it makes your family feel good as well, to be able to know that they are supporting your ultimate dreams and goals. The downside is exactly the same as the upside. You're borrowing from family, okay? So that might be difficult. There's obviously the famous analogy that says when you're borrowing money from family, things can get challenging. You just need to make sure that it doesn't change the relationship at all. And also, by them giving you that money, does it give them the opportunity to then probe constantly about what you're doing with it? You need to be able to set your boundaries and your parameters straight away. If they give you the money from the beginning, that means they should have full confidence in exactly how you're going to use that money. Okay? So point number 2 is borrowing from friends and family. You'll see in both points there, you are not in debt with a bank and you've given none of your equity in your business away, okay? Point number 3 is crowdfunding. Now, this is something that I actually did with my business, a British independent luxury watch company. We needed to raise £25,000 in order to pay for our first mass production order and cover what you call the MOQ, which is the minimum order quantity for the production of our watches with our supplier. Now, £25,000 at the time was a big investment. But the beautiful thing about crowdfunding is this. Again, like bullets 1 and 2, you're not getting bank loans or bank debt. You have no interest or borrowings, and you're giving absolutely zero equity in your business away. All you do is you create a landing page on a platform such as Kickstarter, which is the world's largest crowdfunding platform, or Indiegogo. On that landing page, you shoot a promotional video, just like what I'm doing here, which outlines exactly who you are, what your entrepreneurial vision is, what your product or service is, why it's so unique, and this is the most important point, what is the reward that the customer will get for pre-ordering your product, and in return, how long will they have to wait? I'll bring this to life in exactly what we did. So we launched our very first collection on Kickstarter. We basically offered the customer a 25% discount off the retail price of one of our watches if they pre-ordered the watch. Now, that's a really important point. They are not getting the product immediately. They are pre-ordering the product, knowing that they will wait normally between 3 to 6 months for the product to be produced. Why do they do it? 1, they get a 25% discount. But 2, they are also supporting an entrepreneurial's vision, knowing that they are doing good by making that purchase. Now, what you need to try and do, therefore, is you set a funding goal. Ours, as I say, was £25,000. We needed to make sure that we had enough customers pay for a watch and be able to break £25,000. We managed to do it in 7 days, and we had a 30-day funding campaign. So in just 7 days, we raised the £25,000 necessary to place our first order with our manufacturer, and the business came to life. Over the next 3 months, we sent out production updates monthly from the manufacturer so each customer could see their specific product in production all the way through to delivery 3 months later. We could then take the profit from the watches that we'd sold, and we would use that to then place our next mass production order without crowdfunding, okay? So if you do it right, you can raise enough money just to use crowdfunding on your first order. And then if you manage the business frugally enough, you can then take the profit and use your own proceeds to reinvest into the business and never have to touch saving, family and friends, or crowdfunding again. And you have a self-sustaining business. Point number 4, and I've put it in 4 because it is a bank loan. And I've already talked about the fact that I'm always going to push ways to avoid debt from a bank to begin with, because you have other options out there. So I actually worked in a bank for 10 years prior to me setting up my business. I spent that entire decade learning the ins and outs of personal loans, business loans, ISAs, credit cards, insurances, everything you can think of under the sun. Okay, so I feel like I'm in a confident position to be able to give you certain hints and tips. So the first thing you need to know is you can access a personal loan of up to £25,000 on what you call an unsecured basis. That means you don't have to give any kind of security. You don't have to sign over any rights to your business. You don't have to give any kind of collateral or equity in your home. It's a completely unsecured loan based on your credit file. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody can access a loan of £25,000. What you will do is you will go in to the bank and you will make an application. You can do it online or in a branch or maybe even over the phone. And they will look at your existing credit history. They'll look at how you've used your accounts in the past to be able to make an informed decision as to whether they believe you have a strong enough credit rating to be able to get the loan, but also based on your income and how much your expenses are, whether you can actually afford to make those repayments, okay? Now, obviously, I've put this in position number 4 because it is a bank loan, but I'll go through the positives to begin with. 1, you get the cash immediately. 2, you have structured repayments, so you know every single month exactly how much you're going to be paying back on the loan. Normally, as well, you can make overpayments without any kind of negative impact on your monthly payments. And 2 or 3, it makes it easy to budget, okay? Because you know exactly what your monthly payments are. If you take a loan out for, let's say, 60 months or 5 years, you know that you can pay that £25,000 back at, I don't know, £350 a month, okay? The negatives are it's debt. It has interest for you to pay. And interest is an interesting one as well because depending upon the current base rate, okay, within your country, depending upon your credit history, that will dictate what interest you're going to be charged. So don't always look at the promotional advert that the bank has where they have an extremely low interest rate on a personal loan. You will only be able to find out whether you can access that promotional interest rate once they've done the credit checks. Without, you may find that rather than it being, let's say, 7%, it might jump up to 12 or 13%. So always pay attention to the interest rate that they're offering. And the other negative part, obviously, is it's scary having debt so early on. But if you've exhausted the other options, you weren't able to save, you weren't able to access funding from family and friends, you tried crowdfunding, but you didn't raise enough money, then there is a bank loan there as an option. And then the final element to be able to raise the money necessary that you need to create your company, point number 5, is a credit card. Now, I've put this in position number 5 because obviously it's my least favorite option, but it is an option and it is something that we need to talk through. With credit cards, you can access interest-free funding of between 18 to 24 months. So what you're looking for there is a credit card that offers you interest-free purchases for between 18 to 24 months. That basically means that you can spend within the credit limit that the credit card is offering you, and every month when you make payments back to reduce the debt on there, there is absolutely no interest to pay for that 18 or 24 month period. Now, massive warning, when you get to the end of the period, make sure you mark your own calendar when the interest-free period runs out, because instantly the interest rate will go massively up, normally to 20+%. So for every £100 that you would be paying back, £20 of that 100 would be interest, and just £80 would be actually paying the debt down. But not to worry, if you're paying it back within the interest-free period, you're paying no interest as long as you pay the minimum amount back on time each month, okay? So the benefits of this, you get a response straight away with what your credit limit is. You get access to credit fast. You have normally 18 to 24 months to pay it back if you find a good card and a good promotional offer, and there's no interest within that period. The downside is, again, it's debt, and you will have a big interest rate to pay after you are out of that interest-free period. So in summary, 5 different points to fund your business. 1, you can look to save. 2, you can look to borrow from family and friends. 3, you can access crowdfunding. 4, you can look at an unsecured bank loan. And 5, my least favorite, but it is an option, is to look at a credit card. Hopefully you found that of use. If you have any questions, please do drop them in the comment section of the video. Absolutely subscribe to my YouTube channel. We are having plenty more incredible, valuable content coming out where I explain the exact steps that I've gone through over the last 7 years to be able to build my business. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, talk to you soon.